Hi everyone. Hello. I see already some comments here. Hi. Hi guys. Can you hear us? See us? Just drop some comments in the chat if you can. Okay, perfect. Today we're having a special guest, Italo. Italo, welcome to our Gigradar community. Thank you for coming. Thank you for taking time. And today we'll be talking about making money while asleep. Can you just tell us a little about yourself, like your experience using Gigradar and overall your background, a little introduction about you.
Yeah, my name is Italo, and I'm the founder of Peddle. So Peddle, we're a HubSpot and revenue operations agency, what we do is we help startups scale actually. So we work with mostly B2B SaaS and B2B service businesses and e-commerce businesses. And so the reason for that is because I grew up in a service business background. I grew up working in healthcare, and I have a theory that the more people in the world you help, the better your life gets, right? And that's kind of my philosophy, my ethos that I live by. My mother's in healthcare, and she was a nurse and became a nurse practitioner, and I ran a lot of doctor's offices growing up, and I kind of always just felt like the more people we spent time helping, the better our lives got. And so I really enjoy service businesses and SaaS businesses. So my agency specializes in helping people do that. So I've had a few startups now. I worked in healthcare growing up. I patented color coded guitar strings in college. So I was trying to teach myself how to play faster because I played in a band. And then I started build a software that color coded sheet music and help people became a guitar teacher, taught people how to play music. And then that kind of got
Interesting.
very random. It's something I made in college. So I was running doctor's offices, helping people as in college, playing guitar, invented that. I won the entrepreneurship competition at North Carolina State University, and that was in 2010. I actually won it twice, but the I won it 2 years in a row. But the prize money was like 50K each year, and then my university, I didn't have a business background, so I was always in healthcare before that. I didn't know anything about business, and so they wanted to help me launch a startup. So they sent me to Mass Challenge, which was a Boston entrepreneur competition. I went up there and I learned how to code there and learned how to do business from a lot of like tech entrepreneurs and .com people. I always tell people that Jeff Taylor, the founder of Monster.com, was there. He was one of our coaches. He's a guy that like Monster.com was like the original Indeed, right? Um, Steve Case, founder of AOL, was there. He was a keynote speaker and one of our coaches, and he's the guy who like brought internet to everybody's home. And so I learned business from all these .com tech people back in 2010. Brought that back down to Carolina and started an agency to help businesses grow. And I've been doing that for a while now. And Peddle is the latest variation of that. And the cool thing about Peddle is this is my second agency. Before I did a lot of healthcare consulting. Then I did full service marketing. I guess my third. Then I did full service marketing, and now I do specifically revenue operations because I think that revenue is what businesses need to grow, especially when you're small. So making money is the most important thing. It's like the lifeblood of your business. So I decided to do revenue operations and kind of merge that with technology to show people how to use technology to make more money because it can change your life. And again, that kind of goes back to my ethos. Like the more people we help, if we use technology to scale our efforts, instead of teaching you a guitar lesson one on one for an hour, I can record that lesson and put it online and sell subscriptions and teach a lot of people. So same thing, we're doing telemed now as well. I'm opening a doctor's office here in July with my family. We do psychiatric medicine. So that's one of the businesses I'll have with my family. And instead of being confined to the office, just helping people that can come to the office or drive within 20 miles, we're doing telemedicine. How we can help anyone in the United States who needs help, they can dial in and get access to healthcare, get prescriptions, medications from their phone. And revenue is a byproduct of that. Revenue is the result of all the people that you help in the world. And so that's why I have Peddle, and that's what we do at Peddle is we teach businesses how to specifically service businesses and SaaS businesses how to use technology to help more people to help the world so they can in turn make more revenue and change their lives. And so Gigradar has been a big part of that. And so is Upwork. So when we started this, we kind of tried to figure out what niche to go into. And so I can kind of dive into that when you're ready, but I'll pause there and see if you have any questions.
Okay. Wow. That was impressive.
Thank you.
Especially the part starting from guitar to coding. Like, yeah. Do you still play guitar?
I do. So, it's funny. I stopped playing for a while and I picked it up the other day and I loved it. And I started, yeah, I played since I was 13. I'm 36. I played since I was 13. And I played my whole life and I taught in my 20s from like 21 one. I think I invented the product in 1920, so I think I taught them. I was in a band at the time gigging, so I think when I stopped playing and started teaching, I was probably 2021, all the way to like 25. And then I probably stopped playing around 26, 27, and then I picked it back up maybe like in my early mid 30s, like 32, 33, like dabbled a little bit, and now I'm getting back into it again now. But yeah, I can still play for sure. I just don't have time to play as much as I'd like to because now I'm through businesses. So. But I do love
Do
it.
you write music?
Not anymore. I used to. I did when I was in a band in college. I toured. I wrote a lot of music, and the lead singer of my band got picked up by Atlantic Records for artist development, and he ended up being. I don't know if you guys know Trey Songz. He's a big R&B artist. So Trey,
Wow.
yeah, he Atlantic Records. He did a bunch of features with Trey Songz. So the lead singer of my band went on to have a music career as a writer and guitar player. I ended up going, to Boston and doing entrepreneurship and doing code. But I did write music back then with him, just not since college, stuff like that.
Okay.
It's there now.
We could have built a band. I sing. I can sing. Yeah.
That's all I love to. Like
I can play piano, guitar
oh,
as well. Yeah.
awesome. I've always, in college, I did it as my minor. I minored in arts entrepreneurship. So like my minor was like how to help people. You know, so arts businesses are different than normal businesses. Normal businesses like people have a need, but arts businesses are really built like culture, and the value of art is based on how much the culture likes the art, how much it defines the culture, how much it represents your identity. So art businesses are very different than regular businesses. So my minor in college was arts entrepreneurship, and so because I did that, I took piano lessons as like I had to do music classes, and I was like, I already know guitar, I'm going to do some difference at the piano, but didn't get very good. I can play, a little bit. I can read a little bit of sheet music, but I'm not very good at piano. I know chords, but that's about it. But I do love piano. That's one thing I really wish I had more time to do is learn how to get really good at piano. But my best friend from college is still my best friend now. We've been best friends since I was 21. I'm 36, and he plays guitar, he plays drums, he sings. He's really talented, and we own a business together, a trucking company. So we're super tight, and him and I will do shows every now and again, or play a festival, get our friends together, and just do something for the community or culture. Do a lot of salsa, bachata, sometimes top 40s, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's cool. Does this side of you help you like grow your business, scale business?
Absolutely, it does. I had a mentor. His name was Gordon Smith III. When I was in college, he was from NC State, and his family built a lot of Raleigh, North Carolina. They're very, like early settlers here when America first started, kind of thing. And they also own Southern Living magazine. That magazine line, they own that. They built a lot of museums, a lot of schools. Really, really prominent family. He was a mentor of mine, and when I had been in my color coded guitar training, he invested in my company, and he was telling me that the reason why I invested is because he was like arts kind of define culture for a city. Like when you go to New York, like fashion, finance. LA is like acting. It's like arts really define a city and make a city like a tier one city, or like Tokyo, like all these big cities. They're the big cities in the world because they have culture, they have art. People go there for that culture, not just the money. I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and Charlotte, and great jobs, great education, but it's not as big of a city as that because we don't have that culture. And so, anyways, he was telling me that the reason why he invested in me is because he builds cities, and that's his thing, and art kind of defines culture. But a story he told me was Benjamin Franklin. They said when he wrote the Declaration of Independence, he played violin, and so what he would do is every time he wrote a single line Declaration of Independence, I'm sorry, Thomas Jefferson. What he would do is he would stop and he would play so he could like change his thought patterns. So I think playing music helps you use both sides of your brain instead of always looking at something analytical, like left side of the brain and tactical. We're humans, we're emotionally driven. So you also have to think about that when you're doing something like building a business, building a country, because rules aren't just followed to be followed because we're not robots. We're very emotional. So use both sides of your brain when you build something like a city or a business or organization. So he, played music, kind of switch sides of his brain to make sure he could write something that was acceptable to people, was human. Then I heard another story where Einstein, when he came up with the theory of relativity, the theory of relativity was created because he was playing piano and he realized relative major and relative minor keys. He was like, oh, relativity. And that's how the theory of relativity was invented. But I think it helps everybody, I think about life both angles because, we're living organisms and not everything is just math. You need both sides, you need the art and the science of it. So it does help me be more creative. And I'll talk about some of that here, like I do copywriting to like do better ads or do better webinars or do better, proposals on Upwork, Gigradar. Like, I think art's very, very important because we're all human and, um, I saw a movie recently about Donald Trump and his life story, and his mentor told him something really interesting. He was like, when people, if you play sports growing up, people tell you to, like, your coach always tells you to play the ball. He was like, but we're in a country full of men. You have to play the man as well. Like every country you live in, they're all rules, sure, they're the science, but who enforces those rules are humans. So when you go to court, it's people that judge you, right? So you have to,
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. Creative people, they think differently, actually.
yeah, it's about connection. It's about, it's a very different thing. It's a very different thing. So I think it's vital for everybody to have an artistic side or outlet, whether it's writing or drawing or music or whatever it is. I think both are important.
I can relate. Yeah. Okay, so now we can slightly move on to our main point, I think. Main
Yeah.
part. Yeah, so please welcome Italo again. Yeah, now we're going to talk about making money using Gigradar, Upwork, and HubSpot.
Awesome. All right, I'll
Yeah,
jump.
okay.
Can you guys see my screen? I'm not going to present all the way because I think I'll probably hop around because I want to go into Gigradar and then other tools. So let me know if
Hmm.
you guys
Yeah,
see.
we can see. Yeah.
Great. So all right, let's dive in. So we went through the intro. My name is Italo, and I run an agency called Peddle, and we talk about what we do. And so to get more specific about what we do at Peddle is we help businesses scale by generating revenue. And so businesses have a very, very typical like life cycle. I think a lot of people don't know this when they go into business. Um, this didn't exist before the 80s. Before the 80s, people who ran businesses already had big businesses. Like if Coca-Cola wanted to launch a new product, they would, they already had a million drinkers and users. They would just test new products with them, and when they like something, they'd launch their product. But that's different than doing a startup where you don't have any customers, you don't have an audience, you're starting from zero. And so somebody named Steve Blank created the lean startup movement, and that taught people how to build a business from scratch if you have no audience and started from zero. And so I used that and I connected it with revenue operations, which is how the scientific approach of how to generate more revenue. And I put together a business model that helps businesses scale, a step-by-step approach because I've done this now 3 or 4 times from zero to millions of dollars. And so we help people do that and use technology to make that go faster and to track and use data to make a data-driven decision type of approach, so it's repeatable and it's not luck. And so so at Peddle we do that in different phases. So we call it plays for every phase. And so I'll go through those with you guys, and then we'll talk about where Gigradar and Upwork kind of pull into this puzzle for you guys and how you can use those technologies to find product market fit. And then if you're trying to figure out what to do for business, and when you figure that out, also find customers and scale and kind of automate that growth. So that's kind of the overall encompassing theme. But so like I said, in the '80s, this stuff didn't exist. This kind of came out. Things started really came out in like the 2000s, and then and when the internet first started, there was something called the funnel, which is now kind of grown into what's called the flywheel. And so the funnel was like, back when the internet was very sketchy and people didn't trust the internet, people get scammed all the time. It was like Web 1.0. We didn't have security like that. Like it was very, social media didn't exist. The internet was a very different place. It was very scammy. And so when people started selling online, they figured out that you needed to do this funnel approach, and that was like awareness, which is when a buyer has a problem, there's a buyer journey. They're aware they have a problem, and they start trying to solve that problem by educating themselves. And nowadays, they go to the internet and start doing research on Google to figure out like how to solve the problem, and then they decide, do I want to solve the problem myself, or do I want to hire somebody to solve the problem for me? Because now they know enough to go solve the problem. And then they assess awareness, education, and then they go down to buying the conversion, where they hire somebody if they're gonna hire somebody. And so that's the funnel approach. And that was good when everything first started, and that works for like non-recurring revenue. But like I said, we do service businesses who like to help people with recurring revenue, and it's usually like what agencies do and coding. Like you don't usually get paid. Sometimes you get paid once for a project, which is fine. But you still want them to be happy, so they tell more people about you, or you want to do monthly recurring revenue. We have like a long-term contract that people can pay you every month, and that's kind of how you grow your revenue. And so the flywheel, so that was the funnel that started. The flywheel is what came out later, and the flywheel is kind of a different approach where if you're selling like a mattress, or you're selling like um, a mattress people only buy like once in a life, like once every 8 years, or selling something like that, you never see those people again. So the internet, when it was scammy, they would sell you something and it would disappear, and maybe with bad quality, and you'd write it, and you'd never buy from them again, right? But nowadays there's reviews, and if you want recurring revenue subscription, people would be happy and pay over and over again. You have to make sure that they're happy so that they give you a review and want to come back. And that's where the fly was invented to help you do that. And so the example I always tell people is like Netflix. Like you could go buy a DVD and never see a person again. Maybe DVD's terrible, bad quality, but Netflix is a subscription. They want for them to make their money back. You just stay every month and pay for a year. So they want to make sure that you're happy every month because every time you go to pay that bill, you want to say, hey, like, do I still use the service? Is this bill worth paying? Am I getting value? And if you are, then you'll pay the bill again, which is why Netflix has a top 10. They have a top 10 to show you that every month we have new shows. It's always something new coming. You should keep paying and stay subscribed. So I want to make sure that you're happy and you get the return on investment. And so that's kind of like how all subscription businesses work, and that's what you want to do. And so the flywheel is like how the approach of doing that. You might meet some strangers, you want to attract them, and so we use Upwork and Gigradar to attract strangers who have these problems. They're aware they have a problem, they're trying to get help on it, and then they become prospects. We engage with them by sending out a proposal and showing them we could solve that problem because they've educated themselves. Like, hey, I know I need to hire a developer. I know I need to hire somebody who knows how to code like this to fix this problem. And they're trying to seek that out. So then you engage with them with the proposal. And then if they like you and they trust you, then they'll become a customer. And if you treat them really well and you delight them, then they'll become your promoters. They'll start telling other people about you. They'll leave a review. And then that'll help you get more strangers and find more people who have that problem. And then that gets you more business, more engagement, more customers. And that's kind of the flywheel. And that's how your business scales faster because you make people happy. And they spread the word about you and you do good work in the world. So that's kind of the flywheel approach. And what revenue operations is the scientific method or model of how to make this wheel spin faster. And so I'm going to talk about a little bit of this, and then we're going to go into where you put in technology to increase that speed or measure things. So that's kind of the gist. And so your business, we say, is a revenue factory. So every factory has three goals. There's something called Six Sigma engineering, and it's what the Toyota factory used to become the most efficient factory in the world. There are 99.69, 99999 efficiency. There's no waste at Toyota factory. Walmart then came and learned Six Sigma from the Toyota people and built the Walmart factories and made Walmart massive. And then Jeff Bezos at Amazon heard about Six Sigma and then went and hired the Toyota people and hired the Walmart people to build the Amazon factory. And then they became, Amazon, which is the massive company. And so the way they did that was called Six Sigma engineering. And so what revenue operations is, what this is Six Sigma engineering applied to generating more revenue. Like, how do I use scientific methods and models to make more money, right? And so the same way a factory has, produces a product, your business's goal is to produce revenue. And again, that's the byproduct of the service that you help people with. And so a factory has three goals. It's production, make the product; efficiency, no waste; and then quality, like repeatably over and over again. If I make a teddy bear, it's the same every time. They're always the same shape, same size. It's perfect. And so your business should have the same goals: accelerate growth, which is make more revenue; efficiency, which is lower the cost per acquisition, lower the cost. It costs you to deliver the service to people, and then deliver recurring impact. We talked about Netflix, like they want quality, and if they're happy and they get their return on investment, they'll keep hiring you every time they need your help, and they'll spread about you. So these are the three goals of your business, and so the way that your business works is it's just like a factory. Every product line is an assembly line. The same way you have like one assembly line, right? And then every go-to-market motion is the assembly line for that product. And so you can do this a lot of different ways. One product could have one go-to-market motion. Like I can sell like one service. If we do HubSpot, I can sell HubSpot and on Facebook. I can sell it on Google. I can sell on Upwork. But every place you sell it is completely different. When you sell on Google, people are looking for you. Like, I have a problem. I'm looking for help. I need a doctor. When you sell on Facebook, it's different. You're selling to them. They're not looking for you. You're just telling them that you exist. Whenever they have the problem, they remember you and think of you. They might not have the problem today. And so that assembly line is different. It's going to move at a different speed, different pace. It's a different scenario. And so we're talking today about Upwork specifically and how that one works and how we can make that line shorter and speed that up. But this is like the model method behind it. And so, like I said at the beginning, every business has a few different phases. If you're Um, uh, Usually the founder sells everything all the way to $10 million, and then you have different phases of like scaling, growth, etc. And so the way that it works is when you first start your business, you prototype. You want to figure out how to solve a problem for somebody. Like I'm an expert at guitar. I want to help people learn how to play guitar. So you go interview people who have play guitar and say, hey, like what are your problems? What are your issues? So what I did when I started my agency is I did that with Upwork. So that's usually the first phase. You want to problem to solution fit. People have problems. You want to solve that problem, and then you want to figure out, is it worth solving that problem? What will people pay to get this problem solved? How much can I charge? What's the ranges? And then so that's like your prototyping. That's called customer discovery. You're figuring out who your customer is and how to help them. Problem solution fit. Once you find that fit, you build your MVP, like your minimum viable product or service, and you figure out like how you're going to deliver that service to them. And you templatize it, productize it, and hopefully teach other people to do it. So you can help more people, and your whole team can do it. And you start putting in technology to automate that and bring the costs down, and kind of stuff. And that's called MVP. And then you go to customer validation, which is you now have this product or service productized, and you want to make sure that people are happy with it over and over and over again. It's not a one-time thing. And then that's called product market fit. Once people are happy with it, it's packaged well. You sell it the same over and over again, and this is usually to $1 million. You want to get to $1 million with the first product. Where I see a lot of agencies, people make the first mistake is they go too wide. They try to do 5 or 6 different services. They haven't perfected the first one yet. You'll make more money doing one thing really, really well. So instead of me learning how to, building websites, doing this and that, if I just do one thing like onboard to HubSpot and I get that to $1 million, then I'll make more money because I'll be more efficient. I'll have people process, and I'll know how to help that customer better and how to find them. And so we use Upwork there as well to figure out, you know, um, what people would pay. And you can search the job and see what the ranges are, and then perfect that method and model. And then we use once we perfected it, like we need to make sure that people trust us. We use Gigradar to reach out to those people, and because it's on the same thing over and over again, it's the same template, right? Like I don't have to do different things and write it different and have the AI do too much work. It's the same issue, it's the same problem, it's the same way we solve it over and over again. So Gigradar can really easily write the proposal for everybody, and find us more of that same one customer. If you want to sell that first line all the way to $1 million, and once you do that, that's called product market fit. I now know what my customer will pay. I know how to deliver it to them, and you do go to market fit after that. So go to market fit is now that I know the product is and how to help people. How do I find more customers? And you take what you learned at that first model. I took what I learned on Upwork, and now I apply it to a different assembly line, like Facebook ads, Google ads. And I take the learnings because I could say on Upwork, people have said these keywords, they ask these questions. When I serve them and deliver to them, they had these problems. I can take all that, put it on the website, put it in Google ads, put it on Facebook ads, and then add a second channel, third channel. And now I have multiple different revenue streams. I'm selling that product. And that's go to market fit. And that's usually from $1 million to $10 million. And once you get to $10 million, then you do what's called scaling. Now I add other products and services. Well, they do HubSpot. Now I can start doing websites. I have all these customers that have these needs of HubSpot. Now I'll do a different service line like app development, mobile app development, etc. And so where everyone makes a mistake is they try to do all these different services instead of perfecting the first one. Perfect the first one on the actual service or product, and then you perfect how to sell it, like on Upwork, like I'm gonna show you today. And then you perfect that, get $10 million, and then you start adding a second, third channel to get $10 million, and then you start adding new products and services. And that's the scientific model of how to do this. And so without further ado, I'll hop into to kind of how this works and what we did for all this. So the first thing was we talked about was like prototyping customer discovery. Let's say I'm a new business and I'm trying to figure out how to help people. We can always go to Upwork and look in here and see like what people are doing. Like, what am I good at? I know how to code, developers, and I can type things in and see what jobs are available, what people are paying, and then I'll pick one. In our case, we picked HubSpot, but in here you can always see the range of what people are paying and what they're doing, and that's how you kind of find your product market fit, which you price, how you package that for people. And once you figure that out, you want to have people process. And so ours, you can kind of tell, is always like Upwork onboarding was the first thing we did to $1 million. And so you can get to $1 million really fast because you do the same thing over and over again. And you'll notice that most people always ask for the same things like HubSpot Pro, HubSpot Admin, HubSpot Onboarding, customization. And then so when you go to use Gigradar to write that template, you want to make sure you're just doing it for that one thing first. So you can see mine here is HubSpot Expert Onboard Implementation. I now know exactly what keywords people say, what to put in, and what to leave out. because I've done it so many repeatable times. The one thing. And so that's how you use Gigradar, right? Because I now know what people want, what they're going to pay for it, how to bid on it. I know how many connects to spend, and I know how to price it because I've done it so many times. So, and then I know what keywords to use. I've tracked it down. I have this list of 100 jobs I've done, and now I can automate it. And now I'm gonna use AI, and I'm gonna throw it in here. And then now I don't have to do this anymore. Now I wake up in the morning, my calendar is just booked, and I have meetings every day, every week of just AI scheduling my business for me. We've done it so many times, it's perfected. And so that's where Gigradar comes in. And so that's where the keywords happen. This is how we do the research to find that out and price it. And then what I like to do is now we're going to go into copywriting. So you understand the concept of how to where to use automation, how to build all these different things. Now it's about how do I make sure they pick me, right? Like why am I special? Why do they pick me? And so what we do is we use copywriting tactics like advertising and email copywriting all have some art to it, like we talked about. Like this is where like my artistic side comes in. These are people, right? Like it's not there is some science to this, but there's also the people who's hiring, person hiring you is a human being. They want to connect with you. So there's a book called Influence, and it talks about like how to work with people and how people started becoming society. Back in the day when we were chimpanzees and apes, you were in your group and it was a different group. If you saw someone in a different group, you usually started fighting. You're very tribal. This is like where racism comes from and all that kind of stuff. When people look different from you, they don't usually trust you. When your name is different, it's things because it's a survival mechanism that's in our DNA from when we were, apes. And so you have to get past that by connecting with people. And you connect with people by saying, hey, like I'm part of your tribe. Like I'm part of your same culture. You can trust me. And you do that by having good language, by speaking their language, using the same kind of words that they use with them. Like when you meet somebody and they're from the same part of the world as you, they have the same, accent, they have the same language, and that's the first like bonding mechanism you have. And so you want to use that in your copywriting. You want to use that in your proposal to connect with people so they can trust you. So that's the first thing is on a human connection level. Do I trust you? Do you speak my language? You're from my tribe. Does my profile look good? So when they see my profile, I'm clean. I'm someone that they feel they can trust because I look like someone that can help them. This is the first thing, the human connection, right? Then once you have the human connection, the second thing you do is the now I trust this person as a person, but do I trust that they know how to solve this problem? And that's where you have case studies on the website and on your Upwork profile for reviews on you showing that you could solve this problem and you solved it before. And then the third thing people want to know is, okay, I now can trust you as a person. I know that you can solve this problem, but everyone thinks they're special. Like, hey, I'm very special. My business is very unique. I know you can solve this problem generally, but can you solve this problem specifically for someone just like me? So I don't want someone to do HubSpot, or I don't want a website developer. I want someone who can, do HubSpot for my healthcare business. I'm a doctor's office and OBGYN. Have you done HubSpot for an OBGYN doctor's office before, very specifically? Have you done a website or a mobile app for a ride share before? Like something very, very specific. And so the more specific you are, then that's how you connect with people. And then you can, they'll trust that you can solve this problem for them. So first, you gotta trust you as a human and a good person. Culturally, do I trust you as that you can solve the problem? And can you solve the problem very specifically for someone just like me? If I can prove all three of those things to you, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna be able to sell you or close you, as long as I have speed. So usually speed is a lot of the part about sales. Usually people only don't have a lot of time. They won't interview 20 people. They'll interview one or two or three. And so the faster you are, the more you stay in front of them, the more likely you're going to succeed. And I can prove that to you because I use Gigradar and I can show you when we bid on things manually what the open rates are versus when Gigradar bids for you as soon as a job is posted. The faster you apply, the more opens you get and the more reads you get. And so the more eyes you get, the more reads you get, the more deals you close. Because if they never read it, they're not going to hire you, right? And so that's kind of the thing about Gigradar is speed is another big part of sales. And then the last part of this is like when they do read it, you don't want to be boring. You want to use copywriting and artistic to get their attention and get to the point. And so I'll kind of go into that. Let me show you this Gigradar thing first. So you can kind of see, like if I do like, maybe I'm gonna do like the whole year or something, see that these numbers look like. Maybe I do like, okay, all the way to today. Okay. So um you can tell like see like this is the V rate, right? Proposal V rate, right? And so you can usually tell that by these V rates how fast it happens when somebody. Let me see. I'm doing the last different timeline on. I'll do like December or something, or October to May. Today is May 1st. Okay. And so you can usually see that whenever somebody does these view rates, if you apply to a job in a really fast view, you have a really, really great view rate. What will happen is if you can do it within a few like minutes as opposed to a few hours, then people will usually always read it. The second thing you can do is that if you say something that gets their attention at the very, very beginning, like what I like to do is say, hey, like I put stars, like pay attention to me, or emojis, and I get straight to the point and say, hey, we're a HubSpot partner, board member, platinum partner at same experience. The first thing is have speed. The next thing is make sure that you say something that is going to grab their attention and make them want to read more. And that's kind of email copywriting, right? Like if you write a good subject line, they'll open. But if you don't write a good subject line, they never open, then they're never going to read the email, so they're never going to be able to hire you. So that's the second thing we do is make sure that at the very, very top of the cover letter, we say something impactful that lets them know that this is the right thing to read that makes them want to go on and read more. And psychologically, what happens is with copywriting an email or ads, there's something called thinking fast and slow. And so thinking fast and slow is whenever people are doing something and they're working, they're usually going through like these motions of like autonomous motions. Like I'm just responding like, hey, no, I'm busy. You don't have time. Your brain doesn't have capacity to think about everything. So you kind of like go on autopilot. You have to make people stop their autopilot so they can start thinking rationally. When people are thinking autonomously, they just go through any kind of behavior motion. To build trust with somebody, you have to make them stop and actually consider you reasonably. So to get to their reasonable mindset, you have to pattern interrupt it and make them stop. So that's why a lot of people do ads to say something like outrageous, or the video is something really crazy, because it makes you stop and think, because it's different than what you're used to seeing. So you can't evaluate it fast anymore. You have to stop and evaluate it more slowly, which then makes you want to stop and read the whole thing. Which is why we do the subject line thing and the very like, big opening. And so usually what happens if they read the subject line, the first two sentences, once they get to the third sentence, they'll complete reading the whole rest of the proposal. And so that's kind of the science and the art and psychology behind it. And the way that we have done it is we start with the subject line, and then we go into saying, like, I can definitely help you. And then I have the AI read their proposal and say back to them in their own language, their own words, how exactly we can help them, right? And so they know that we've read it, we understand them, etc. And that's kind of the science behind it. And then the next thing we do is go in social proof. We prove that we've done this for people like them, and we start listing out who we've done it for, who we've helped, how we've helped, and listing out some of the businesses that might be like them that we've helped. Because again, we do the same thing over and over again for the same people, so we can list out exactly who we've helped, exactly like them, and that's like the secret sauce. So yeah, that's everything. That's the whole presentation. I know it's a lot, so I'll pause there.
Okay, okay, great. Thank you very much for your presentation. Here we have, do you have any questions, guys? Here
Yeah,
we
no,
have 3 questions from Asset. He says that he had to leave early, so he asked me to ask you questions. The first is, imagine you create new Upwork and Gigradar profile, which 2, 3 automations would you build to make sure money rolls 24/7?
So if I started a new profile and I did Upwork, the first thing I would do is I would make sure that the proposal, like we said, is like I do the one job, I do the proposal, and also use Gigradar to apply to the one job first. That's the very first thing. The second thing I would do is I would try to automate the meeting situation, the meeting process, and follow up. So like once you book a call with somebody, they usually want to make sure that you can follow up with like assets and all that kind of stuff. So based on the information that I have on a call with them, I use HubSpot to fill out the deal record and say, hey, like here's the issues that they have, the problems they have, and then automate a proposal or a deck, and then it'll push that out based on how I answered that. and then I have that handy. So as soon as the call is over, I can send it to them. Say, hey, here's the proposal or text you asked for, and here's the pricing, and it speeds it up so it doesn't take me much time to do it, so I can do more volume. And that's kind of then that's how they'll like meeting. Then they then go to consideration. They can start evaluating the price and see if it's a good fit. Sometimes they do a second call, or they'll just go ahead and hire you then. And then once we get hired, again we try to automate the next meeting for kickoff deck, and then automate the follows from there. We do that all the way through the end where we deliver the project successfully. Then we ask for a review, and we even check in halfway through the project and say, "Are you happy? Like, are you getting what you expected? Did you get the result you wanted? You hired us for this reason. When we looked, you said you had these problems and you wanted to solve it this way. These are your issues, and we guaranteed you would do that. Did you get that? If not, how can we make sure that you get that before the project ends?" So we automate all the check-ins and automate the case studies follow-ups as well. And so that's kind of how
Mm-hmm.
the system automates. So whenever you're you know half, half of it is automated, half of you have to do in person because Upwork. Like we do Facebook ads and things like that. That's almost fully automated, but Upwork doesn't allow you to get the information until they've hired you. So that's why it's not 100% automated. It just automates the meeting bookings. It automates the follow-ups in the end. But if you're doing Google or something else, you can automate the whole thing. Is that helpful?
Yeah, thank you. The next question, also from him. Peddle emphasized churn reduction, but in Upwork churn means that client live forever. How could you help with it or suggest something? Sorry, I had a quick look to the Peddle. Probably get it wrong.
Yeah. So churn reduction, there's a lot of reasons why people churn, right? But I think the first biggest one is making sure that they're happy early on. So like if you're an agency, if you're like a freelancer, then it's you doing all the work. You just want to make sure you check in and keep pulse on them, make sure they're happy and they get everything they need. But if you're an agency and you have a team and someone else is delivering the work, like I have a staff, what'll happen is we'll check in like right when the project kicks off, maybe a couple weeks after they're onboarded, and say, hey, like, is everything going? We usually have weekly calls, or at least bi-weekly calls. So set regular calls is the first thing, right? Regular calls, you can always check in if they have time to allow you to do that. And then make sure you ask them, like, are they happy with the service that they're getting? So if they're not, very early on, you can change, the person, the account manager, you can change whoever's helping, right? And then when you deliver the work, check in again and ask them if they got everything they needed, if they missed anything, and then also ask. So that's kind of the churn reduction. That right there is in essence the churn reduction. It's just customer success, checking in, make sure they're happy, and you got what you promised. Or they got what you promised them. And that's what we do.
Okay, thank you. So these tips actually can help you build long-term relationships with a client.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, we've had a lot of people on Upwork for 3 years. 4 years. I guess 3 years now. We've been on about 3 years since the beginning still, because we check in with them every week, and we make sure that
perfect.
there's ever a misunderstanding, we just fix it.
Cool. Okay, the last question from him. What AI tools agents do you use in your personal life and why?
So, Schedule AI is a big one that I like a lot. They're SaaS Academy member, and what we do with them is we help them. We use them to like chat on the website. They can qualify leads. And people come in from like if somebody comes into our webinar and fills out a form, if somebody downloads a white paper, we can say based off what they downloaded, what form they filled out, ask them if they got the value that they wanted. So they joined the webinar. Was it helpful? Did you learn what you're looking for? If they downloaded a lead magnet or a guide, hey, notice you downloaded the guide on how to set up your Gigradar account. Was that helpful? Did you get what you needed? A lot of people would jump straight to the like click me when you download something, but people didn't really ask for me. They just asked, they were educate themselves. They're trying to like learn something, and so usually what you want to do is make sure that you ask them if they got the value. So we use Schedule AI to do all that for us, so it saves time for a sales rep to do it. We can teach it based off of what the form is when it's downloaded and using HubSpot properties. So Schedule AI is a big one because it plugs in HubSpot. We use ChatGPT for like a lot of the copywriting we do for our social media and things like that, and blogs and website. We use Clay for a lot of our like list pulling and lead generation for cold email, or even getting emails for ads, for ad audiences, and doing research on people. We use Gigradar for Upwork specifically. Um, we use Ask Elephant. Ask Elephant is a call recording. We're a partner with them. If you guys want any of these things, by the way, you can go to my website. It's peddling.io. and book a meeting with me, just any of the calendars on there, contact us, we'll go to me. We're partners with all these things. Like we literally implement all these things for people. So we can get you discounts, we can help you set it up and coach you through it. So please, by all means, reach out to me. Ask Elephant, what that does is it's like a meeting note taker, but it's like the next evolution. Where most meeting note takers actually just give you notes in the transcript and tell you what metrics or questions are asked, whatever, you can search it. Ask Elephant will actually use like LLMs. You can use Cloud or try to use anything you want, or Gemini, and you can have it one not just listen to the call recording, but also connect to your CRM and connect to your Slack community. So to read your Slack community, your CRM, every email, and also your meetings. And I can ask you the question like, does Corlin like me? Do we get along? And it'll read our Slack communication. It'll listen to our calls and like give me feedback on our whole relationship for our whole life. And so you can have it does like LLM AI workflows. So it's not just a meeting note taker. It reads everything in your knowledge base and can give you information. That's what's called Ask Up. You can ask it anything. And then you can also use it to update your CRM record, like your HubSpot, where it'll, if I have a sales call, it might ask you what CRM you use or what plan you want to buy. When you answer it, it'll take information and update it in HubSpot so the sales will go good anymore. So like Ask Up is like the next evolution of meeting note taker. So that's a big one to use as well. So it's like our AI tech stack.
And how do you make sure automation still feels human to potential clients? Just this is a question from me.
We keep it minimal. We keep it minimal. Like we use it bridge to connect us. Like we always want to do meetings. Like we always want to do the personal touch, right? Because again, like I said, people trust humans, and so we use it to like expand our reach. We don't use it to care for the client all the way. It's just one rep should be able to do the work of 10 because they have AI, and instead of having to go like do a bunch of reading, they can use this tool. That's so we keep it very minimal, and we just keep it to kind of bridge the connection to get them to the call, to get them to interact with a person, as opposed to letting it do the whole thing, right? And so that's kind of, I think the secret is keeping it very minimal, keeping it very pointed, very specific. Where like it's I mean I'm using it to answer a question I've answered 1,000 times, so I know this is the answer. If it's anything unique, it needs to route them to me to talk to me as a person. So I want to provide value to people. I don't want to just automate talk to me.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I know that was a lot. It was very long-winded, so I hope it was helpful. And if you guys have any questions, you can go to a website, reach out to me, Peddling, PEDDLING.io. You can follow me on LinkedIn. It's just, N// my name, Italo. Message me there. And, we'd love to help you guys with your Upwork or help you guys set up HubSpot if you need CRM or automate some of the stuff or set up in the AI tools I talked about. But,
Thank you. You can also drop a link to your LinkedIn account, probably to the chat.
oh, yeah,
And also you can find Italo in our Slack community as well. If you have some questions, you can ask in the chats, tag Italo, and get answers for your questions. Okay, thank you. I can see it there. Yeah. So before we wrap up the session, anything you'd like to say, maybe finalize?
No, I think it's everything. I know most people here are agency owners and freelancers. I think that service businesses are great because, like I said, you can build recurring revenue and so that's what we specialize in. So if you guys need any help with recurring revenue, churn reduction, or even product market fit, that's kind of right up our alley. We do SaaS and service because, like I said, we like help. So reach out to us.